Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity Radiant Light. It is Sunday, May 12th. It's Mother's Day. And I'd like to welcome you here today for our Sunday service as we continue our talk that we've been talking about as being loved beyond measure. I'm Reverend Cherie Ruffo, and I'm so glad to be here today. We've often heard the saying, loved beyond measure. And today I want to explore it further with you. The Bible verse, you are loved beyond measure, appears in Ephesians 3:19. And this verse describes God's love as an endless love beyond measurement. It transcends even our understanding of that. And Paul wanted his readers to experience the love of Christ in a way it goes beyond information, goes beyond translation. So we have to understand what this love means. And I believe that to do that, we must experience it. It's not one of those things that's really meant for intellectual understanding. And the concepts may sound simple, but it's really one of the hardest ones for us to grasp. You know, we live in a society where many of us have learned that love is conditional, that we have to earn it, that we have to behave a certain way, have a certain belief. And a lot of us were also raised to believe that we're not worthy of this love. Does any of this sound familiar for you? For me, it does. But the truth is that this can't be further from the truth. You can never not be loved because you are loved so deeply and so thoroughly that it's what you are. So for us to break the cycle believing that love is conditional and that you may never be worthy of it, we have to experience this love. So I invite you today to take a moment and as we feel into this concept, you are loved beyond measure. This is the beginning of you, the middle, and the end. There's never a time when you aren't loved beyond measure. And as a spiritual being having a human experience, this love is where we find true joy. And we often talk about joy as the place where healing happens. And many call it miraculous, but it's more than that. Miracles assume that something unusual occurs, something out of the ordinary. But when we understand that we are loved beyond measure, there's no miracle. It just is. So it's through this love that we seek and we find balance. And what's so important about balance? Because balance is necessary for healing, for truly understanding love, ascension into higher vibrations, mastery. And it's also where we feel and know without a doubt that we can be loved in this capacity. So we must find balance in our lives to achieve that. In order to reach these higher vibrations, what do we do? Where do we stop? What does this mean? What does seeking balance mean? My life in the past couple of weeks has really been out of balance as I went to Arizona because my parents are in crisis with their health and took care of them. I had a hard time seeking the balance in that. But the important thing is sometimes things do happen that may throw us out of balance, but we have to find our way back to it. So the elements of finding balance can be divided into the internal and external. And internal elements, which are very important, are our mind. Challenging ourselves intellectually versus creating opportunities for our mind to rest. We get so busy, so caught up in things. We have to stop and allow that balance to happen. What about with our hearts, with this whole love? Are we balanced in giving and receiving love? And if we aren't, we have to really look at that. How about our health? Eating, drinking, exercising properly versus resting, treating ourselves. Sometimes it may be some extra yummies. Well, here's some tips about finding balance in your life. You have to identify your priorities. What really matters to you? And think about that because sometimes we're sweating the small stuff when we can let it go. And is it blocking your joy and fulfillment in life? We can practice mindfulness, deep breathing, meditative states, walking in nature, experiencing beauty. It can be a mystical experience. Are we taking enough breaks in our lives? Research shows that taking breaks from work and personal commitments help us to refuel. So oftentimes we think that when we stop to rest, we're giving up something, but we're gaining, we're refueling, and we're showing up better than we probably could have otherwise. How are your boundaries? Are you setting boundaries? Or are those boundaries setting you? Take a look at the boundaries. Where do you need boundaries in your life? Are you integrating all aspects of your life? Or is there an area of your life that is severely lacking? Really take a look at that. One good thing you do is practice journaling. You can write down all these things that your thoughts that you have and what you're thinking and doing, and really allows you to get a perspective where you can stand back and say, am I balanced? Am I putting me on the schedule first? Maybe even before the chores. How can I simplify my life? How are you at saying no? That's the one that I work on a lot because it's hard for me to say no, but I have to now. Have to have those boundaries so that I can have a life that's full of balance. Are you taking time to nurture your relationships? What would your family say about that? The people that you love the most in your life, what would they say? Are you putting a focus on your health? What does your downtime look like? Is it 5 minutes before you go to bed and 5 minutes after you get up? Or are you taking downtime and enjoying and really being present to enjoying those times? What can you do to improve your self-esteem? Maybe you feel like you don't deserve to have balance. What can you do about that? Be generous with yourself as well as others, and be kind. So, what are the attributes of experiencing this love beyond measure? This concept. Maybe you're not feeling the truth yet. Maybe you wonder, say, hey, is this really true? Can this happen for me? And you might ask the question, how do I get there? And the quickest and the easiest way to get there into finding that balance is going into not the linear, but going into the quantum, going into this area of love where there's kindness, compassion, understanding. And yes, it's coming from you. This is going to help you move into the energy of love. One of the most important concepts about unconditional love is that it's not linear. We're not going to think our way into it. This is something that we need to experience. It's that the difference between intellectual understanding is, yes, I have it here and I'm reciting it, to that spiritual understanding that we gain through experience. Linear means it's in a sequence. What we're doing is we're taking a pause and we're taking it out of that linear, out of that sequence, and moving it into this area of feeling, this quantum experience. And if something is really bothering you and it's causing you to have trouble going into this, out of this sequence, let it go. Most importantly, it is you. You deserve this love, to be loved beyond measure. So let's take a moment and breathe on that. Just experience it. And as you do this, just do a temperature check and say, do I feel any resistance to this concept? And keep breathing. Breathe as you can let go of any resistance you feel. You know, we believe that there's many kinds of love, but the most important love we must remember. And I say remember because we always have it. We're never apart from this. Is that this creative source, God, Father, Mother, whatever you call it, loves us beyond measure. And this God is inside of us, in every cell of our being. So therefore, even if we believe differently, unconditional love is living inside of us. It is inside of us in every cell of our bodies, which makes us this love. And this is a huge concept. It's one that's really hard to understand. So when I thought about this for a while, I asked my question, well, how am I going to teach this? What's the main key to this concept? And I looked in Jesus' teachings and the indigenous teachings of the world today. And Jesus was an example, the living example of unconditional love. He understood it. He lived it. He lived his truth. His life gave us the example that we too can master this. We can master this understanding that we are and have unconditional love. Is it easy? No. Some people might find it easy, but I know as I'm, going through this and going through these truths, I'm looking at my own embedded theology, the things that I grew up with, what I learned. And I have to spend some time removing and releasing those. Because this isn't concept of being loved unconditionally, of us being worthy is not a concept most of us were taught. Many of us grew up living this as part of a punishment, telling us that we haven't earned love. So why would we have it? Because we're not worthy of it. So why would we have it? So the punishment was to withhold this love. Now, the indigenous of our planet have been aware of this teaching. And most of the indigenous teachings see it as the fabric of the universe. Because love is the foundation of everything. And as we look today, in Mother's Day, to understand this concept, love beyond measure, we can relate to it with the mother's love. Maybe some of you haven't had the best experience with a mother growing up. Others may have had a mother figure in their lives. And this is what I'm talking about. It doesn't have to be the biological mother. This is a mother's love that I believe is as close to the creative source as we can get. Because a mother's love includes kindness, compassion, and caring. And these are the same attributes that we need to raise a child. The women in my life, I had some very strong women in my life, amazing women, and have helped me to understand this grander truth, have supported me through times that were tough in my life. And above all, I've been able to look to them to say, to kind of look at this love, understand. More recently, I was in, Arizona taking care of my parents and watching, kind of being the parent in a way now, but also taking the time with my mom to have some precious moments, to remember back to some of the things she's taught me, and to understand and feel this mother's love. And what this mother's love does, it helps us to awaken to this grander truth of who we are. This love connection that we have, this love. There's songs about it. There's books, there's movies, there's everything. Everybody's talking about it. And some of them are positive, some aren't so positive. Talk about how hard it is to find. But the one we're talking about today is this one that begins as young children, the love we get from our mothers or mother figures. It's the perfect illustration of what love is. And if you didn't receive it as a child, I'm very sorry. But it doesn't mean you can't experience it as an adult. You can experience unconditional love and acceptance. You may just have to come at it a little bit differently, have a few different experiences. Because, as I said, love is not love. It's not in linear time. It can be complicated, full of nuances, meanings, because there's so many different types of love. So the thing we have to understand about love when we're talking about it, the definition is that love is an energy. We were known before we were born. We were loved before we were born. This is the grandest truth of all. This song that we feel, this love, this is our truth from home. We're here spiritual beings having a human experience. This is not our home. But love is from home. Love is a reminder of home. It's the connection that we have from the Creator to us. And it's the greatest love we will ever know. Even when we feel alone, we can't possibly be, because we have this love. We have this support always. So we can be locked up in a closet and we're never going to be alone. And this connection, when we recognize it and we embrace it, it will get us through even the most difficult days in our lives. It will support us because this love is forever. And this love lives inside of us, like we said. The Creator lives inside of every cell of our body. It is us. No matter how you are feeling, alone, scared, angry, whatever it is or whatever you're doing, you are still loved beyond measure. I have a lot of people that sometimes have a hard time with this concept. They're like, but then there's no punitive, there's no punishment for what people are doing. We're loved beyond measure. There is no punitive. Do you feel this truth? You're worthy of this love. Psalm 46, verse 10, I love. It says, be still and know that I am God. So no matter where you feel with this connection, you can find it in the silence. Some find it in nature, music, poetry, art, whatever you feel the connection the most. But this connection is always there. It's the truth of who you are. But sometimes we have to turn the noise off to find it. It's there and it's available for everyone in the world. No one is left behind. We may be in periods of amnesia or sleeping, but knowing this helps us awaken to this truth of who we are. We know it from the first and second unity principle. It's what we're talking about today. There was one power and one presence in the universe, God the good. We recognize that one power. And then the second unity principle says, our essence is of God. Therefore, we are inherently good. So that same goodness, that same power and presence is within us. And this means all of us. It's there in the fabric of who we are. And some people may disagree, but I say some people are in states of amnesia. They're asleep to this truth, so they may not be expressing it. But it's there, waiting for us to remember, to awaken to this truth. And if you're not a mother, stop for a moment and remember your mother's love, or mother figure. It's love. Or if you are a mother, think about this. How do you feel about your children? Can you turn this love on and off? No. You are loved beyond measure by a creative source, God, Father, Mother. Doesn't matter what you label it, call it. It's love. And loves you unconditionally. So for this week, let's bring our inner child back into our lives. We all have that inner child within us. If you had the experiences that I'm about to list, then you'll be using them. And if you didn't, then I invite your power to invoke your power of imagination, to activate these feelings in your life, and to ask yourself these questions. Can you remember a time in your life when you had nothing to worry about? Maybe it was you were out playing and the only thing you had to worry about was what time to be home for dinner. Some of us had those experiences, right? This wonderful feeling of play is inside of you. So let's invite it to come out and play with us now. This is an invitation for you to find that joy of the inner child, that feeling that can be activated in your life today and every day. It'll create a more relaxed you, kindness, and a balance. place where you can create and heal your life. And this is a critical step in staying balanced in your life. There's no depression when you have joy. And when you have joy, this joy doesn't stay just with you, it's expressed in the world. Bringing the inner child out is the quickest way to bring joy into your life. This joy helps us to move out of linear time and to move into the quantum. When we're in linear time, we often rush to do the next thing. I have to do this today. I'm going to be at church. Then I have a brunch. Then I have this. Then I have this. Until a lot of times we just drop at night. Let's stop right there. Let's take a moment in meditation this morning and savor where you are. Asking your questions. As I study, as I'm a truth student, how have I changed? How active is your inner child? If not, are you willing to activate it in your life and become more active? Whether you had a good childhood or not, the inner child is accessible to everyone. If you didn't have a good child, you can work with your inner child. You could hug them. You could help them feel safe and secure when they come out. And by doing that, you're healing your life. So let's move to meditation right now. Find a comfortable place to relax. Breathe. As we breathe in all the way down, we release it. That breath. As we breathe, I invite you each to close your eyes. Release any tension that you may have. Relaxing every part of your body. And as we can relax this, we allow the tensions and thoughts to dissolve gently. We feel each of our limbs relaxing, our head, our thoughts, everything relaxing, our organs, allowing the peace that is you to support you now. Within you is a light that is you. And as we find this light, and we feel into it, I just invite you to turn it up. And as we do this, we heal the entire planet. This is also the part of the awakening of the planet. This awakening is happening one person at a time. There's no rules for it. Each person is having their own experience of their own awakening. And what's happening is our soul group on this planet is awakening. Spirit is like a mother saying to you, this is part of me. And this is you. And we just hold those thoughts. We feel that love. We feel that light inside of us in every cell of our body as we go into the silence. We are part of a soul group that is awakening. And spirit is like a mother, saying, this is part of me, and it's part of you. You come from spirit. You are part of spirit. You may be an independent soul, but you're also part of the whole at the same time. You came from the creative source, and you are loved beyond measure. Do you feel it? Are you starting to understand this? This is the energy that you're feeling right now. Is it possible that you're here and you're right on purpose? Of course it is. Is it possible that there's something within you and is you and is magnificent? Of course. It's time for us to let go of any old feelings of unworthiness. It's time for us to let go of anything that no longer serves us and step into the truth of who and what you are. And you will shine your light more brightly with this truth. This is you. And as we leave this morning, we conclude. We're just beginning to understand the truth of who and what we are. I look forward to continuing this journey with you. So go out, experience it. You've always been loved beyond measure. Let's bring it into your awareness. And know that you are blessed with a divinity that lives inside of you. And it can never be anything else. And for this, we are so grateful. So grateful to Jesus, our way shower, for coming here and demonstrating that for us, for all the guides, the masters, the teachers who continue to teach us. As we say thank you, and so it is.